All right, we have a new unit that we're going to start on, and it is prejudice and inequality. So we're going to talk about all the isms. We have sexism, racism, ageism, homophobia. Anytime you think someone is less than yourself, that would be in this unit. Turns out humans have been doing this for a long time. We're not really going to talk about the history of racism and prejudice in our country. There are places to do that, but we just won't touch that here. And we have plenty in this country with the KKK and its progression. It's actually very interesting to talk about all that, but that's not what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about the psychology of prejudice and how that all works, because humans seem to be hardwired to be prejudiced against each other, or at least that's what we've done for thousands of years. So we're going to talk about why that is, how to kind of fix it, for lack of a better word, and the different types of prejudice. It's not as clean cut as it seems on the outside, and some tools to test your prejudices. It'll be really interesting, I think. So let's go right into it. First of all, we need to differentiate between types of prejudice. So there are two types of prejudice: explicit prejudice and implicit prejudice. Explicit prejudice is outwardly and consciously saying, I don't like Canadians. They live in the cold, and I think that's weird. I don't like him. Justin Bieber came from Canada. Look what he did for us. It's to the north, and it's just like, why can't you just be an American? Why do you have to be a Canadian? Who do you think, you're better than everybody else? Canadians. Maple syrup? Come on. Who likes maple syrup? Actually, I kind of like maple syrup. But still, I don't like Canada. It's a bad place. That would all be explicit prejudice. I'm openly admitting my prejudice against Canadians. Bad people. Bad things come from Canada. I think Ryan Reynolds is a Canadian. Anyway, that would be explicit prejudice. So the KKK would be an example of explicit prejudice. They say, we don't like African Americans, and they admit it. Explicit prejudice. Westboro Baptist Church are explicitly anti-homosexual. They are very open about that. Nazis were explicitly anti-Jew. They said Jews are bad, and they weren't hidden about it. They said, this is what we think. That's all explicit prejudice. That's very easy to know, and someone that admits it is easy, because they're admitting it. It's easy to kind of deal with, sort of, in that way. Even though they're prejudiced outwardly, it is knowable because they admit it. Implicit prejudice, on the other hand, is subconscious prejudice. So it'd be things like with the Canadian. If I have Canadian students in my classroom and I say, I don't see race, I don't see age, I don't see color of skin, I don't see nationality, I don't see religion, I don't care about any of that. I treat everyone the same. But at the same time, at some level, kind of outside of your own awareness, you still have these stereotypical thoughts, and you put things onto people automatically outside of your awareness. This one's sneakier, and it's harder to play with, because you can, in all reality, be completely unaware that it's even happening. In fact, you can be trying not to do it, and it'll still happen. So that's why the next part, we're going to be taking a test made by Harvard, which is really neat, called the implicit association test. It measures reaction time. That kind of measures implicit prejudices for a variety of things. It can be race, sexual orientation, body size, age, all sorts of things. It's really neat. But today we're going to watch a video from the show What Would You Do?, where there's going to be 3 different people that will be doing the exact same thing in the middle of the day. These 3 people are going to be attempting to steal a bicycle. And these 3 people are a black kid, a young black kid with a salad color shirt and a backwards cap. Then there's going to be a young white kid with a salad color shirt and a backwards cap. They're both going to be trying to steal a bicycle in the middle of the day in broad daylight, with people walking around at this park. The third thing is going to be an attractive white woman who's going to try and steal the bicycle in the middle of the day. And when all 3 of these people are confronted, they're going to more or less say, yeah, I am stealing the bike. If someone asks, like, hey, is that your bike? They're going to say, no, technically, no. and then they're going to proceed to try and steal the bike. So do you think, and the answer seems kind of obvious given that we're showing the video, but do you think there's going to be a difference between the white kid that's trying to steal the bike, or the black kid that's trying to steal the bike, or the attractive woman that's trying to steal the bike? All three of the exact situations, but different bodies. And do you think that people's assumptions about that and their prejudices toward gender, toward race, are going to influence the reactions of the people trying to steal the bike? And so we're going to watch that video. A couple things about that video that I want you to pay attention to. And I'm not going to show it. It's going to be a separate video because I don't want YouTube, I feel like, won't like that for copyright reasons. But so I'll link that to watch after you watch this video. A couple things I want you to pay attention to. First, these people are going to act certain ways differently in these three situations: the white kid, the black kid, and the white woman. After they are revealed that it's for a television show, this is for What Would You Do, then they're going to ask them, did this person's like race or gender have anything to do with how you reacted? And what do you think they're going to say? So think about that. Are they going to say, yeah, I did that because he was black? No, of course not. There's no way they're going to say that. They're going to say, absolutely not. How dare you question my character, sir? And I think when they say that, by the way, that when they treat people differently without knowing they're treating people differently, I think very legitimately they don't think they were treating people differently. That's the problem with implicit prejudice, is that it happens totally outside of our awareness. And so in that sense, it's harder to identify in the first place, but equally importantly, it's harder to fix since you're not even aware that it's there. So see these three people treated differently, and then very specifically, watch the reactions of these people when they're asked the question, was it because this person was a woman that you did what you did? Was it because this guy was white? Was it because this guy was black? And see their answers to those questions. So here we go. What would you do? And then we'll have some questions afterwards on the Google form.